Can you hear me? Great. Nice to be here. So let's start off by just giving you a bit of context. This is the marketing stage. So I imagine there's a fair few among you that know who BBH are. Bartle Bogle Hegarty, 30-plus years history of making extraordinary TV commercials. Nick Kamen taking his Levi's off, Vorsprung durch Technik. But what you may be less familiar with is the fact that probably over the last 4 years, we're just as likely to be working on a global e-commerce project, a piece of digital experiential content, a shit ton of mobile stuff, which is handy because that's what this is about. And also really going from my background, which is user experience, design, customer experience, and bleeding all the way into service design. So going beyond marketing and communications and really working with our clients to figure out how their businesses can operate better. Just a little about me. So I've been in this business, been a designer for 25 years, still figuring it out, but started out pre-Apple Mac. Then moved into print design, music industry design, and then heard about this thing called the internet and thought there might be something in it. So went to work with some tech companies with a small technical agency and started developing those kind of skills, doing coding and designing for web. A big chunk of my career actually has been spent at the BBC, over a decade in fact, delivering platforms, products, services, and events for them and leading user experience and design teams. But more recently, in the last 4 years at BBH, I've been working with clients like British Airways, The Guardian, and Google. Sometimes very focused kind of web design and development, but increasingly over the last 18 months, really looking at how we help drive innovation and business transformation. And that's where this comes in, really. So in order to look forward in terms of the next generation customer experience, you need to look back, and I certainly do. And for me, Walt Disney's extraordinary character, an extraordinary early UX-minded guy. If you look at his parks, exit through the gift shop, all of the components that the Imagineers and he developed. But what strikes me is in the schematic on the right, pretty much every week, and this relates to the talk earlier, we're involved in mapping out brand ecosystems. What are the touch points? What's the connective tissue between touch points? The schematic is from 1957. Walt really understood every component of his business and how they related to one another, how they drove customers, drove revenue, and really understanding that to operate effectively, you need to create a whole greater than the sum of the parts. And there's no denying, modern businesses find that really difficult, often existing in multiple silos. But I think there's a key that can help unlock it, and I think that key is mobile, it's a smartphone. I don't know if you caught this pretty extensive Wired article earlier this year about the Magic Kingdom and the Magic Wristband and the app at the heart of it. So one of the many elements that this delivers is that you can pre-order food. I'm sure it's miserable food, but you can pre-order it. You turn up into this wonderful ballroom in the park, and because of the beacon network and NFC, the food magically appears at the right table. It knows who you are, where you are in the ballroom. And there are a whole raft of initiatives in Disney World that use these tools and this connectivity in order to make the experience feel magic. Now, I know from folks that have been there and used this, it doesn't work brilliantly all the time, but this is I think for me, this is a bit of kind of beachhead of where things are headed, trying to get to the point where you've got all this incredible technology, but actually it kind of disappears almost and just becomes like magic. Now, this is a room full of smart people, I can see that. You do mobile already, don't you? You've got a responsive website, an adaptive site, maybe you've got an app strategy, maybe you've got 50 apps, but hopefully not. But this is more than that. I think with some of the clients that we work with, there's a sense that mobile is an add-on, it's a kind of sideshow. Okay, as long as people can access some of our content, they can see what we do there, that's fine, that's enough. Got slightly smaller budgets. And it's not really quite grasping the potential here, and it's understandable. The evolution is absolutely extraordinary. In my professional life, actually starting out with something that was just a kind of bulky bit of communication through to a supercomputer in your pocket. And the potential for that is incredible. There's a gentleman last week, Brad Jakeman from PepsiCo, not last week, sorry, a couple of months ago, at Association of National Advertisers event, and he had a lot of things to say. One of the things that struck me that I think is relevant for this piece around mobile is there is no such thing as digital marketing. There is marketing, most of which happens to be digital. And I kind of think that the same thing needs to be considered around mobile, that actually this should be the kind of cornerstone of your business strategy. And actually a gentleman that will be up on stage here, I think Thursday morning, with a piece about mobile taking over the world, Benedict Evans. Very insightful guy. Do follow him if you don't already. But a piece recently around this transition of mobile and the impact that it can have. He describes it as the first kind of tech product that's pretty much gone universal. Smartphones getting used by pretty much everyone on Earth. And I want to dig into that a bit, because I think there really is something there. I mean, he also talks about the incredible multiplier effect. Actually, mobile is not the second screen anymore, it's the first screen. Ben concludes that actually mobile is the internet. And I think if you look at it, actually, the power of these mobile devices, able to give you context, location, payment, you've got messaging, all of these things baked into these tiny devices. Why wouldn't you be maximizing the potential there? And I think, I want to look at this in a couple of facets. So one of them is the kind of transactional side of things. Not so long ago, I got a copy of this report by Criteo from last year, the state of mobile commerce. And I was staggered to see that in Japan and South Korea, nearly 50% of online transactions are completed essentially done on a mobile device. Actually, the UK is pretty extraordinary, 41%. So globally, the average is looking about 30%. And it's not beyond the realms of the imagination to think that within 18 to 24 months, many of these markets will be over 50%. So let's reference these facets, I guess, through some of the work that my team and I have been doing with clients at BBH. So around mobile for buying, one of our clients, Bowden, who you may know, fantastic fashion retailer, but a catalogue business. And they had a pretty decent .com, app, but actually there was something missing when we interrogated their kind of brand ecosystem. And the thing was that actually it was the experience of browsing through a catalogue, glass of wine in hand, turning pages, making annotations, that was actually loved by their customer base. And they didn't have an equivalent experience. And so we helped them develop essentially a digital catalogue, but absolutely designed for mobile, well, frankly, for small screens. But this is the start of a journey that we're on with them, where what started out as, what are we going to do with the catalogue? The performance we've seen for this, which launched this year, taken everyone by surprise. And I think there's a kind of pattern here that what started off perhaps as a mobile strategy is heading towards being a business strategy. And I think there's an interesting challenge there. But also I think the other thing, in terms of being mobile, being the kind of facilitator of this connective tissue between brand touchpoints. So taking m-commerce on further, actually just dropping the M or the E, it's just commerce, and actually trying to draw some of the wonderful actually brand storytelling and provenance and marketing content that tends to live in the tab where content goes to die on a lot of e-commerce sites, actually trying to weave that into the mobile experience. And we've done that with a male grooming brand that we've developed called Gent. And that, mobile is the starting point for everything with that. I think loyalty is just a natural place. That one-foot experience is the most personal experience. Your settings, the data, those secret text messages, whatever, this is the most personal. Loyalty loves mobile. And for KFC, we're having a huge amount of success kind of developing this platform. But again, what's interesting is that we've got very exciting plans, and they've got very exciting plans for the next couple of years. And it's this idea that mobile is the platform that will enable those incredible plans that they have. And I think playing to the email conversation earlier, this idea of being able to use context, use data, to start getting much closer to a one-to-one communication between your brand and your customer. Ad Age of all, earlier this year, had a piece around messaging being the killer app. And it comes again to this point of the kind of one-to-one communication. They describe messaging as the kind of organic interface for a customer to ask for what they want on demand in a private environment that truly replicates a concierge service. You start building together all of these components, and a responsive website is not enough, just being able to get access to some of your content. And let's get serious for a second, frankly. Smartphone is a lifeline. There's been quite a bit of press over the last few months about these images of refugees arriving in Europe and various countries with smartphones. Now, any wise-minded person knows that these are not economic migrants. And actually, besides grabbing your loved ones, it's a really smart thing to do. Actually, this is a communication tool. This is a navigation tool. This is a way of actually capturing and taking with you some of the things that you're being forced to leave behind in terms of memories and other things. So it isn't so crazy. But again, back to Benedict's point, we're seeing this everywhere. And I guess it's also, when considering your kind of mobile strategy, let's also be really clear. This could be in bed, the end of the garden, in the loo. The idea is that mobile isn't necessarily always out and about. And let's think about it in those terms. And let's face it, if we needed any more encouragement, then there's Google's naughty step earlier this year. If your site isn't optimized for mobile, then your search rankings are punished. And if we aren't thinking about this, the Google have said so. So let's get on it. This is a case study, actually. This is Adam Brotman from Starbucks. And I really just dropped in there. It's a well-documented case. They're not one of our clients, maybe one day, but not right now. And how they actually approached their mobile strategy. At first, it was all about mobile payment and loyalty. And they started realizing that actually the mobile team as a vertical impacted every part of their business. And so actually what they pulled together is a mixed discipline skill team to work across the business verticals rather than as a silo. So that actually mobile and mobile strategy and mobile thinking runs through every bit of their business. And I think, it seems to me that's the way to go. Business transformation lies that way. So again, let's not just stop at the kind of optimization of marketing and communications. This is genuine business transformation. You're at the beating heart of a business. And I think that, we're not talking about world peace necessarily, but this is transformational stuff. There is a watch out, there are a few watch outs, but this is a particular one which we've certainly come across and has been problematic. And that working across different business units, you can end up reflecting your internal themes externally and requiring customers to go on journeys that have multiple screen use. You don't have a fully featured mobile service, then you have to log on to a computer, a desktop or a laptop to be able to complete the journey that you're on or the transaction. Equally, there are some clients that we're working with at the moment where if you want to buy a bunch of flowers and a bottle of wine on their website, you need 2 logins because it's 2 different business units. Customers don't give a damn about that. It's one brand. So actually figuring out how you enhance that mobile service is critical. But, and again, I think there's a lot of themes from the previous chat. I love beacons, I love NFC, I love the new handsets, I love Apple Watch and wearable tech. But actually, it comes down to 2 things, success here. It comes down to people and understanding what people are doing in their everyday life, what are their needs, trying to evaluate the context of use, and that's the second bit, really. Actually, it's about context. Shout out to Giant Ant Studios that made this rather natty little schematic, but really talks about how you interrogate culture, environment, activity, getting it right so you really optimize this key that unlocks people's digital world. So a bit of a summary. I think the time's up for me. But can I suggest, just reappraise the role that mobile plays in your brand ecosystem and business strategy. If it feels like a sideshow, something's wrong. It should be at the heart of your business. And there should be a real variety of influences in that. Make the one-foot experience as personal as possible. At every opportunity, try and get closer to that kind of concierge, one-to-one communication. And then see the wood for the trees. Try and evaluate the context of every touch point with your brand, but then adapt accordingly. This sense of being able to respond, of kind of immediacy, and frankly, of a brand that listens. And that's me done. Thank you very much.